Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm filming another mukbang, and today's video is yet again another Pizookie mukbang. So, this Pizookie is an M&M Pizookie, so it's a regular Pizookie, and then I mixed in chocolate chips, vegan M&Ms, and then to the center I put so much Vego spread, you guys. So excited, and then there's some vegan vanilla bean ice cream on top. And then this is an enchilada lasagna. So it's basically enchiladas, but in lasagna form. So I don't know if you can see, there's like layers in there. This has tortillas, beans, rice, vegan cheese, enchilada sauce. And then I added some tater tots in there to just complete the ensemble of a party in a dish. So very excited. And then also for today I am bringing you guys another true crime. So I'm going to throw out a little bit of a disclaimer. This topic contains explicit content and is for adult audiences, and I will be mentioning suicide and things like that. So if you are sensitive, please click off this video or watch this video on mute, because I want you to take care of yourself. So, let's just get started. Pizookie first, as always. I'm so excited for this Pizookie, you guys. I mean, I always am excited for my Pizookies, but this one, M&M's, Vego spread, yes please. Okay. So good. What the heck? That bite was like pretty much all Vego spread. Fully loaded. So good though. So today's true crime is about the most notorious female serial killer in Sacramento, California. And her name is Dorothea Puente. I actually had not heard of her until my cousin's husband actually talked to me about it. We were up super late one night when they were visiting, and we were all talking, but he and I got into this deep conversation about true crime, and so he told me to research Dorothea Puente, and man oh man, very interesting. So Dorothea Puente was born on January 9th, 1929 in Redlands, California. And sometimes I'm not surprised that serial killers are the way that they are because of the way that they were brought up and raised. No, I'm not saying that they have an excuse to do what they do. My favorite quote from Cobra Kai is that everyone has a sob story, doesn't give you a right to be a bully. So, that being said, yes, she had a difficult upbringing. That doesn't give her any excuse for what she does. It's so sad. Like, I wonder if there would be less serial killers in this world if parents would raise their children right, you know? I don't know, maybe it would make a difference, but anyway, let me just get into it. First of all, Dorothea's parents were both alcoholics, and her dad would openly express his desire to commit suicide in front of his kids. Like, he would say this in front of his kids very frequently. And then eventually in the year 1937, her dad died of tuberculosis. She was only 8 years old. And then the following year, her mother then lost custody of them, and then she died later that year due to a motorcycle incident. Very sad. I can't even imagine And if that wasn't enough, they then were moved to an orphanage, obviously, and then there she was sexually abused. I just can't fathom. Like, that's just so much to go through. This poor girl. I mean, obviously, she's not, I don't really feel bad for her anymore. But at the time, like, she was so young. I don't understand people. I just don't understand. And then poor Dorothea, she struggled maintaining a steady marriage. She ended up getting married 4 different times. Her first husband, he left her, and then 2 others she ended up divorcing, and then her last husband ended up leaving her not even 1 week into the marriage. So there's just more icing on top of the cake for her. My goodness. But I mean, honestly, I don't blame her. She didn't necessarily have an ideal image of what a healthy marriage or relationship even looked like, because she had 2 alcoholics for parents who probably never even showed love to each other. So she had probably no idea of what a good relationship looked like. So all of this unfortunately led to her pivot into crime. Starting with the year 1948, she was arrested and found guilty on 2 accounts of forgery. And then in 1960, she was then again arrested for owning/operating a brothel in Sacramento. So she was then sent to DeWitt State Hospital due to consistent drinking, lying, criminal behavior, and suicide attempts. And while there, she was diagnosed as a pathological liar with an unstable personality. Now, after her release, a few years later, she eventually focused on running a boarding house in Sacramento. And she said, quote, "I just have these people here because I like helping people." Okay. And she would also hold Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. She was also assisting individuals to receive or sign up to receive Social Security benefits as well. This is so good, you guys. I'm like halfway through it already. This is not good. Okay, actually, I'm gonna take a few more bites. So the ice cream doesn't melt. But back to Dorothea. Her public image was changing to be a respectable woman. She even established herself to be an esteemed member of the Sacramento Hispanic community. She also funded charities, scholarships, and even radio programs. So she was putting herself out there positively. I'm cleaning up my spoon so I can use it for the lasagna. I'm also gonna get a drink of water. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Yeah, I'll start from this side. This looks a lot like my burger casserole that I did. So we'll see how it tastes. That's what it looks like. I would try and show you more, but I think it's gonna fall off, so. I didn't get any tortilla. Hold on. Oh, there we go. There's the tortilla. I think next time I actually wouldn't add the tater tots, just because I'd want more of a full enchilada flavor, but they're still good. But I think it'd be better without the tater tots. So, in 1978, Dorothea was convicted of illegally cashing 34 state federal checks that belonged to her boarding house occupants. So she was consequently given 5 years probation and demanded to pay $4,000 in restitution. Nevertheless, after getting caught stealing her occupants' money, she decided she wanted to up her game. Okay. That was one of the biggest bites of mankind, so that's better. So now we're actually gonna get into the murders that she commit. This woman, man. So, in early 1982, a woman by the name of Ruth Monroe, who was 52 years old at the time, overdosed on codeine and acetaminophen, which led to her death. Now, she was living with Dorothea at the time, who ended up conveying to the police that Ruth was depressed because her husband was terminally ill, and that's why she had OD'd. And even though Ruth had an excessive amount of both drugs in her system, she was also bedridden at the time, so her cause of death was left undetermined by authorities. Now, in November of 1985, Dorothea Puente hired a man by the name of Ishmael Flores to do some work on her apartment. She then asked him to build her a box that was 6 by 3 by 2 feet. A big box, which she then said she was going to use to store some books and other items. Right. That makes complete sense because Then later on, she would dump this box at the riverbank on Garden Highway in Stutter County. So you're just gonna throw some of your books and belongings in the riverbank? Okay. That makes sense. I mean, it might just be me, but I mean, if I was getting rid of something like that, I'd just donate it. But maybe that's just me. I don't know, maybe it's a normal thing for people to just dump their belongings in the riverbank. I don't know. Well, a few months later, a fisherman found this box, and before doing anything, he decided to call the police. Smart fisherman. But when investigators opened the box, it was concealing a very badly decomposed body of an elderly man, which they later identified as a man by the name of Gilmouth. And I'm pretty sure this was one of Puente's boyfriends. I'm not exactly sure, but I saw somewhere that he was one of her boyfriends. Maybe. Don't quote me on that. And this man, he was staying at her house, so after he had died, she continued collecting his pension. Well, after he died, after she murdered him, she continued collecting his pension and then also continued writing letters to his family members. And this was like to reduce suspicion that he had gone missing. You know, she'd keep up the letters so they wouldn't suspect that he was dead, maybe, or just missing. I don't know. So man, Dorothea, she knew what she was doing, huh? This is delicious. I wasn't originally going to add rice into this. I'm very glad I did because it's a very nice addition. So Dorothea ended up taking in more elderly boarders into her boarding house, whom she paid stipends, but then pocketed some of the money to help pay for expenses. She eventually took in this man who went by the name of Chief, and I'm pretty sure he was an immigrant, but he was homeless and he did not have any family in the US, I'm pretty sure. So Dorothea said that she adopted him and then hired him as a handyman, and unfortunately he soon after went missing. On November 11th of 1988, police ended up finding some disrupted soil in Puente's basement, and then they soon discovered 7 bodies buried underneath her house, her boarding house. She was then charged with 9 murders. However, it's likely that there were more, since many were homeless and solitary individuals. They weren't necessarily accounted for by anyone, so they didn't have any friends or family who would file a missing persons report. So an exact number is pretty non-viable at this point, which is really, really sad. The ones they did account for, though, they verified as Everson Gilmouth, who was 77 years old, and this was supposedly Puente's boyfriend. Ruth Monroe, who was 61. Hold on, I have to look at my notes. Leona Carpenter, who was 78. Alberto Gonzalez Montoya, who was 51. Dorothy Miller, who was 64. Benjamin Fink, who was 55, James Gallup, who was 62, Vera Faye Martin, who was 64, and Betty Palmer, who was 78. So according to investigators, majority of her victims were drugged until they overdosed, and then Puente folded them in sheets and plastic and then buried them in her backyard. So her trial was transferred to Monterey County. It began in October 1992 and then ended 1 year later. Her prosecutor was a man by the name of John O'Mara, and he had called over 130 witnesses, and he believed that Puente was guilty. So I actually made this yesterday, and it let the tortillas sit, and so now they're super soft and it's really good. The jury then found Puente guilty of 3 murders after deliberating for just over 1 month. It was impassed at 11-1, but eventually they agreed to convict Puente of 2 first-degree murders and 1 second-degree murder count, even though she murdered like 6 other people. But the other 6 murders couldn't be agreed upon. The jury was deadlocked 7-5, and eventually the judge, ow, there's something in my eye. We're fine. And eventually the judge proclaimed a mistrial, as any additional debate would not change the outcome, unfortunately. So Puente still received life without parole, so she got what was coming to her. She was detained at a Central California women's facility in Chowchilla, California, where she, for the rest of her life, prolonged her innocence. She kept telling everyone she was innocent, persevering that her tenants just died from natural causes. Yeah, right. If your tenants died of natural causes, I don't think you would bury them in your basement and backyard and then throw one of them into a riverbank. Puente then ended up dying in prison from natural causes on March 27th, 2011 at the age of 82. And that is the story of Dorothea Puente. Man, I can't even imagine, well actually I can't even imagine murdering somebody, but in your 70s? Man, this woman, she got some serious anger issues or something. Superhuman strength maybe? I don't know. I mean, like I said, her past was just terrible. The way her parents were and the fact that she was abused while in an orphanage. It's so wrong. I wish that the people who treated her that way, or at least the people who sexually abused her, were brought into the trial and they were convicted as well, because what they did to her definitely scarred her, and who knows, maybe she wouldn't have done what she did if she wasn't sexually abused, you know? Like, I feel like they deserve some of the blame. But like I said, I know everything that's happened to her gives her no excuse to do what she did. So I'm going to take one more bite of the Pizookie and then I'm going to call it good because I'm very full. So, I really hope you guys enjoyed this true crime. I honestly, these past few weeks, I've just been super into researching. I don't know why. So I just got into this rabbit hole of searching Dorothea. And I ended up finishing it and I was like, I gotta film a mukbang right now. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. So it was very fun for me and this is gonna be my last bite. So good. Alright you guys, that is the end of this mukbang. I really hope you enjoyed. I really hope you enjoyed the true crime. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!